Welcome to Envisioning Success, the weekly podcast that's your prescription for business clarity. In today's episode, we explore everyday marketing tactics for daily engagement. Laura and Julia emphasize the importance of consistent marketing efforts and engaging with your customers to build brand loyalty. Discover why responding to comments and questions is so important, and learn about the right frequency of posting. Plus, get tips on keeping your marketing ideas fresh, balancing planning with spontaneity, and regularly assessing your performance.
Welcome back to Envisioning Success. This is a show all about marketing and helping you to create incredible success for your business. This week, we're talking about everyday marketing tactics for daily engagement. Last episode, we talked about building your marketing plan. And if you don't know how to do that, definitely take a listen. A lot of what we do on the show is help you to get really clear about what you're doing, for whom, why, and how. And a lot of the episodes that we've had already are all about tapping into what it is that you're trying to create and for whom. So if you haven't listened to those, here's your official invitation to do so. This show is lovingly sponsored by Vision. We are celebrating our 25th anniversary. Yes, I'm that old of marketing success, and I'm thrilled that we made it this far and we're still kicking ass and taking names. So this particular episode is going to help you to kick ass and take names yourself. So make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things, and let somebody know about the show because sharing is caring. Okay. So let's talk about everyday marketing. So first things first, let's just kind of set the stage. Everyday marketing, you might tell from the title, not to give it away or anything, but you need to kind of think about marketing every day. This is not something you set and forget. You can't just be like, okay, I've done marketing, I'm all done. Nope. You need to be doing your marketing every single day. Even if you're not personally doing it, you've got it scheduled, or you've got a VA in the Philippines, or whatever it is, you need to be attentive to your brand building 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even if you're not personally doing it. It still needs to be on. Right?
Yeah. This is where I'm nodding in agreement. This is one of those things where I often talk about the life cycle of a social media post, and I feel like that's a prime example of what we mean here. When you create the content and you create the imagery and you schedule it out, and if you're putting ad dollars behind it, you schedule the advertising, etc., that is not the end of the process. That is the middle and maybe beginning of the process, but you still have a long way to go for that life cycle. Because when we're looking for engagement, and I think we've talked about this previously, but I want to make sure we cover it, engagement is how people interact with what you're marketing. It's on social media, likes, comments, shares, etc. If it's reputation marketing, it's people leaving reviews, it's people going to pages on your website. It is the lifeblood of marketing. Engagement breeds engagement. So the more engagement you have, the more you will get later. One of the ways you get more engagement is by helping to move it along. So when somebody leaves a comment on a social media post, you as the brand then comment back. It's not only a good practice in terms of driving engagement, but it is also a really good way to help drive brand loyalty, because when people take the time to leave a comment or to share something or to leave a review, they want to be heard. And that is one of the truths in marketing, is that people just want to be heard. And so when you make them feel heard by responding to a comment, by thanking them for sharing your content, etc., you help to drive that brand loyalty. You're moving that marketing forward. So it's not just set it and forget it. Like Laura was saying earlier, nothing that we do at Vision is set it and forget it. We're really looking at that full life cycle of the marketing.
You also think about this just from a purely psychological perspective. Imagine what would happen if I started talking to you and you just blank face, didn't respond. Right. That would suck for me, be awkward as all hell, and you would kind of look like an asshole. And that's what a lot of brands do when someone takes the time to reply to their content or comment on it, and then the brand says nothing back.
Correct.
Rude. You can't do that. You know,
Correct.
people want to engage, and engagement means like either, you know, you've got millions and millions of followers, which you probably don't. Okay. And then they're just engaging with themselves and having like a whole community tribe, you know, discussion of their own. But when you're a smaller business, even mid-sized businesses, you have to participate and you have to like actually engage yourself. You can't just leave people. Oh my God. It's like leave people on red. Don't do that. It's
Right.
infuriating. It's like, hey, what are you doing? You know, red 2:42 p.m. 4 days later, something happens or nothing. And it's like, wow, they don't like me.
Right.
It's not very
Right.
validating.
Right. So when we're talking about the tactics for daily engagement, we really are talking about keeping up that engagement, engaging with your followers, engaging with comments, etc., and thinking about the marketing as something that's living rather than something that's static.
Yep. I agree with that. I think that there's some really powerful things that people need to keep in mind about all of this. One, there's real human beings on the other side of this. You're not just looking, oh, I need sales. They're not faceless sales. They're real human beings with flesh, blood, feelings, and whatever, right? So know that and show up with that in mind. So number 2 is somebody needs to respond. Does not necessarily need to be the business owner. Okay. Try not to have a bot do it. Try to have a human do it because you need like somebody to actually care. One thing that I see a lot of people do is they'll just like a comment or a question from a follower. That's insufficient. You can't just like it. It's like, okay, I noted it and now I'm ignoring you too. It's almost worse.
Right.
Don't
Right.
do that. You know, like engagement is the name of the game. You're so right.
We talked about and was internally at Vision and on this podcast that LinkedIn has become a very different platform than it used to be. People are posting a lot of thought leadership. And I've seen, and I've said this to the team, that people will spend the time to post something thought leadership and they'll specifically ask a question in the post trying to drive that engagement, but then they don't interact with any of the comments. And it happened to me. I read something that a fellow business leader posted and I responded with, I didn't quite agree with her, but that's okay. It's, you should be having these conversations.
Right.
I went back to it a couple of weeks later because I was so confused. I was like, oh, she never got back to me. That's so strange. And she didn't get back to anybody with any of the comments.
Doesn't that leave a really, really crappy taste in your mouth?
That leaves the feeling of you put it up there and didn't actually care about anybody. So then what was the point of putting it up there? Oh, to drive traffic. But why would I buy from you?
Right.
If you're not engaging with me.
Drive traffic for what purpose? Like, I mean, what you've just described is, I see it a lot. And it's just such a huge mistake that people make. They're like, oh, it's all about me. I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to attract all this attention because people think I'm so amazing. I'm saying the best stuff ever. And they will just shower me with money and buy all my stuff. No, that is not how that works. Not even a little. Nope. I built a lot of success on LinkedIn and I did it by engagement. I validate people. I reply to all of my comments, even when it's a bit laborious, I do it because all of these people matter.
And the other part of this that I think gets lost is you want to have a certain amount of review of what's out there, right? So obviously everybody feels like all the trolls are out on social media. And I'm not saying it's a great fun place to be all the time, but one of the best ways to manage it is to look at what people are saying in your comments. If you're ignoring the comments, if you're ignoring the reviews, then you have no way of managing your online profile. You can't delete those comments because you didn't even pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's just such a mistake. So we need to engage every day. We need to engage on everything. When there's only one of us, how do we do that? There's probably going to be somebody listening to this, maybe even you, thinking, well, I can't do that. I'm just one person and my business isn't big enough and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm going to be crude here for a second and just like point out some truth. I know you're scrolling on social media when you're sitting on the toilet. Yes, you have time. I don't want to hear it. Like, there's always time to reply to people. If you're trying to grow your business, it's a 24/7 activity. As Julia and I can tell you, neither one of us punch out. Yes, I love when I get to like not think about this stuff, but you best believe if somebody's at the airport bar and they're talking about Facebook stuff, I'm going to scoot closer. Hi, how you doing? How you doing? Couldn't help it over here. Like,
Right.
I'm just on all the time. And like, that's the thing that I love about all of us business owners, is that we just live and breathe. It's part of our lives.
Right.
There's work life and then there's personal life, and that's a myth. It's just your life.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So there's engagement. It's really important. Julia, do you think we need to be posting every day? Creating social media content, blog content, email content?
This goes back to our previous episode where I said that it depends on who you are trying to reach and where you are trying to reach them. So there are some platforms where you absolutely should and can be posting every single day. And then there's other platforms where you do not need to, and it's often you spinning your wheels. So if you're trying to reach people on any of the social media platforms, you could be posting every day, especially because people who view what you're putting up aren't necessarily going to see it the same day or in order, etc. But that doesn't mean that you post every day for 3 weeks and then suddenly forget to post and you're burnt out about it. That's not a good solution. So like you were referring to earlier, if you're a one-person operation, you need to create a plan that is manageable. Last week, we talked about crafting a marketing plan. One of the things I said was properly scoping out the amount of time it takes to do everything. And this is where that comes into play. And if you're trying to figure out how to respond to all of the comments on blogs and social media, I highly recommend you look into time blocking as a really strong strategy. You create time in your schedule every day to make sure that you are doing the thing that you need to be doing, whether it's checking email, responding to comments, etc. So you have already carved out that time.
Yeah, time blocking is awesome. I color code mine so I know exactly when I'm doing what. No, I think it's important. And you know what? No, you don't need to be creating content every single day, but your brand should still be out there every day. And the life cycle of posts helps you do that. So if you're creating an email, I mean, I look in the back end of Go High Level for a program that I'm running, and I see sometimes people opening our emails like a week later. So you don't need to be there every day, but just understand that your avatar and your customer might be there every day, and there should be something there that's somewhat fresh. You know, like I post on LinkedIn anywhere from like 1 to 4 times a week. Still get great results. I'm still selling stuff. But it's all about authentic connection, engaging with people. I will respond to comments pretty much 7 days a week. Responding to emails. Sometimes people will be like, hey, do you have this and that? Hey, how do you do this and that? Hey, do you guys do marketing plans? Why, yes, we do. I'm happy to answer that question at 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. No problem.
Right.
So there's a lot that we can kind of take heed in. And, Julia, I love that you talked about like going gangbusters. It's not the phrase you use, but like, and then just like dropping off. What would be better, including time blocking, right, would be to start small, develop a pace that's actually sustainable, and figure out what can you do forever without wanting to die, right? And be it you, the company, your marketing people, I don't care if you have 500 people in your company, what is it that you particularly are going to be doing to participate in the growth of the company? What can you do forever without wanting to die? Okay.
Right.
Once you get good at that, then you can add. So if you're like, well, you know what? I'm the CEO of the company. I am really super busy and I have my marketing people in-house. And the only thing I can do is write a monthly letter to our customers. And that's all I can sustainably do. And then you show up and you do it well. Great. Do that. Do it well. And then add if you can, or don't if you can't,
Right. Don't take on more than you can sustain long term.
Well, yeah, because then people are just going to be disappointed. Then you're just going to look like crap. And then everything you did, it's not going to work. Because the thing about marketing, Man, nobody likes this fact, but it takes sometimes as many as 40 touch points before someone will engage and even begin to think about buying from you.
Right.
That's a lot, man.
Last episode, we talked about how much time you need to invest to see success in marketing, and increasing those touch points is one of the ways you need to invest in that time.
Absolutely. I mean, you even talked about like influencers, right? Influencer marketing. You can partner with influencers to get your brand in front of their audience. And it's not going to work. You're not going to hire them and do one post and, oh, there we go, I've got millions of dollars in business. No, it takes being on their platform like for an entire year and having lots of exposure. Like, honestly, the thing that makes a lot of marketing really successful is having your brand out there consistently, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, but it's there for the long term, because the success in marketing is in the long term. Yes, advertising is different. So online advertising can produce results for you right away. But when it comes to marketing, that takes longer. It just does, because that's where trust is built and people come to you organically. Sometimes the very best sales come through organic marketing, not paid.
Correct.
So, just stuff to think about. Julia, I'm curious, how can people keep their ideas fresh? I mean, if you're doing this, let's say you are doing something, you're the marketing director listening to this show, how do you come up with stuff day in and day out?
It's a definite struggle. I know the people that are on my team go through ebbs and flows of feeling like they have lots of ideas and so much creativity, and then it flatlines. And one of the ways that you can stay on top of it is when you're going through a creative surge, build out your content for a while so that you have things at your disposal when you're dealing with kind of a plateau or a flat line of creativity. It's the same thing with writing. You get writer's block and then you get inspired. It's, ebbs and flows. So having something in your back pocket for when you're feeling just like, I cannot create another social media post about tacos. I can't do it.
I knew that was going to come out. Oh no, you know our secrets now.
I want to taco about some more marketing. It's like a decade of making taco jokes. But so having some of those in your back pocket, you could, we've talked about it before. I'll say it again: professional development, being inspired by new ideas, networking events where you see things that, you didn't think about. Check to see what your competitors are doing and get inspired that way. There are, very few original ideas in the world. So we're all kind of like recycling and refreshing things to see what they're doing. See what's working well. Go back into your analytics and see what worked 3 years ago. Is there anything there that you could update and refresh? Sometimes it has to do with creativity and, creative surge. And sometimes it's just, good old fashioned roll up your sleeves work.
Yeah, it's true. It's not always pretty.
Yes, it is not always
and
pretty.
You will sometimes run out of ideas. But honestly, sometimes this is really where we can use tools like ChatGPT or Jasper or whatever to help us. Like if your brain has completely run dry, you can actually take a whole compendium of what you've already created, feed it in there and be like, here's what I've created so far. Got any more ideas?
Right, exactly.
It can do a really good job for that, to kind of like help give you a kick in the creative pants, if you will, and keep you going. There's definitely, I think, in my opinion, a healthy balance between planning also and spontaneity. There's a need for spontaneity, particularly when we think about current events, what's going on in the world. I don't know, like you can plan for things like the Super Bowl. We know that that's going to happen. We know that, there's going to be 4th of July. We can plan for those things. But there's also things that happen in your life, or like momentous occasions that happen in your business, or your dog, God forbid, dies or whatever. Like you get to actually talk about these things depending on like whether or not it's appropriate for your audience. And it's important to be able to leave room for spontaneity and not squash it.
Mm-hmm.
Plans are great, but humanity is honestly sometimes the most effective thing you could possibly add to your marketing.
Right, because people buy from people. They don't buy from brands.
Well, yeah, and people like real stories, you know?
Correct.
Like, I've got a friend who's a doctor, and she's very like data driven. It makes her an unbelievable doctor. Unbelievable. She's like, well, okay, so people need to work on their mindset. And she crafted all this marketing stuff that said, you need to work on your mindset first. And I was like, ooh, not inspiring. You can't lead someone to that. You have to tell them the story to get them to want to work on their mindset and have that revelation. So
Yes.
storytelling is a part of this. And, you know, it's found in the daily, it's found in the planned, it's found in when you ask ChatGPT to help you come up with ideas, when your brain is like, you know, or scribbling on the back of a napkin on an airplane. Like you got to just use what you've got.
Okay. And that's why planning ahead in terms of scheduling content, etc., is really helpful so that you have things banked. But then if you have inspiration, you can go in and post something else or add something else.
Absolutely. You know, finally, I want to leave us with this thought. It's important to regularly assess how things are going. You can't just like post and ghost, as we talked about. You also need to post and analyze.
Correct.
And what I typically like to do for social media analysis is I like to analyze about a week later. How did it do because of the life cycle of a post? How did it do? What were the likes? What were the shares? What, you know, on Instagram, you can see how many people like saved it or bookmarked it. And, you know, if you're delivering value, people will pay attention and it will show up in your numbers. If your numbers are flat, it's because your content sucks. And you're able to get a lot of information from the data. And when you're actually analyzing your social like every week, your emails and your blogs like every couple months and stuff like that, like that's really valuable, because wouldn't it be nice to not guess and actually know what's working? Just saying.
Yes. Agreed.
Cool. Well, this was very interesting. I love thinking about everyday stuff, because that's where I find myself sometimes, is in the everyday, and sometimes we get stuck there. If you have questions about the everyday, I would encourage you, reach out. We'd love to help you. You can find us on LinkedIn. We're there. And yes, it's actually me and Julia. We're going to be able to answer you and help you out. Find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and connect with us. We'd love to support you in your marketing journey, answer questions for you. Be sure to check us out at vision-advertising.com. And we'll see you in the next episode. The next episode is going to be, of course, a good one. We're going to be talking about playing the long game. That's the one that nobody ever wants to talk about, but it's essential because that's the thing that actually pays off. So make sure you don't miss that. Julia, thank you. And
Thank
you, dear listener, whom we love and adore and we do this show for, we'll see you next week. Bye.